Glenn Greenwald, whom I know that as you've clicked on this video, you're already furious. You're triggered so much, Glenn Greenwald fanboy, that you're already in the comments. How dare you? He's a paragon of virtue, and I get it. Post your comments, dislike the fucking video, go away. But now, for those of you that are actually interested in the content, so Glenn Greenwald posted this dumb garbage yesterday. Some really fascinating findings in this big new Gallup survey on Americans identifying as, quote, LGBT. Why is LGBT in quotes? I don't know! It should lead to lots of deeper investigations to understand what explains some of these astronomical changes. But for now, a few points to note. Now, first of all, spoiler alert, more people are identifying as queer because it's more accepted in society and people are less likely to be killed. Again, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you came out as gay, you know what would happen? You would be fucking shot to death in a fucking alley and thrown into a river. Okay? So to claim that, oh, there's an astronomical increase already on its face. By the way, Glenn Greenwald's a gay guy in Brazil. But anyway, there's been a huge explosion in the number of Americans identifying as LGBT, not in quotes this time. Close to 1 out of every 5 Gen Z so identifies, 17%. That's more than a 4-fold increase from Gen X, 4%. But almost all of this increase comes from those identifying as bi or trans, not gay or lesbian. First of all, the lesbian statistic has nearly doubled, but that's not important right now. The lesbian statistic doubling, I sleep. The transgender statistic going up a smaller percentage, oh no! Right, so, now, again, the other thing here is, bisexual people, right? Come on, let's be honest. Like, people have been bisexual for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You look at shit like in Rome and Greece and shit, and they made statues of men fucking each other and, like, you know, bitches, like, draining titty milk all over the place. Like, those people were horny as hell. But you're telling me, for whatever reason, history doesn't matter. Examining other cultures besides America doesn't matter whatsoever. There's lots of cultures right now where plenty of the population are at least bisexual, right? So you're telling me that's all irrelevant. Like, we're only going to examine America here, and that's why this is an important thing? Again, it's almost like people are not as likely to be shot in an alleyway and thrown into a dumpster for coming out as trans or gay or whatever, right? But again, Glenn is trying to spin this as like some sort of, oh, the kids are being infected. Oh, the kids. Keep in mind, Glenn is gay, so. Of Americans now claiming, quote, what is with Glenn Greenwald and putting everything in quotations? You know what that's so bizarre. It's like, now they claim to be bi. What? Like, the vast majority of them are in long-term relationships, are in opposite sex relationships, 33%. Wait, the vast majority is 33%? Rather than same-sex ones, 3.6. First of all, the word there would be plurality, not majority. But, okay, rather than same-sex ones. So 10 times more people who identify as bi live in hetero-appearing relationships than gay or lesbian ones. I've got news for you, right? Again, more people are becoming more comfortable with their sexuality. Less men are like, oh, if I find that man attractive, I'm gonna get beaten by my daddy, right? Like, less men fear that. So, like, let's say you're watching a movie with your wifey, right? And then some, like, fucking hot guy comes on screen, and then, like, you know, you're like, damn, bitch, he's attractive, right? You know, like, that's seriously, the idea that Glenn Greenwald is so puzzled by this concept. He's so puzzled, it's just, to be quite honest, it's unbelievable. I just don't understand, right? But he goes on. Finally, as famed lesbian Kitty Per Zog notes, first of all, what is a famed lesbian? What? A famed, what kind? So this motherfucker puts LGBT in quotes, puts bi in quotes, but doesn't put famed lesbian in quotes? This guy is saying bi people are kind of sus. LGBT people, I'm not sure about that. But famed lesbian, that's totally normal speech, all right? So finally, as famed lesbian notes, there are now space dash dash among millennials and Gen Z space dash dash more people identifying as trans than lesbian. She has previously argued that masculine girls are now encouraged to identify as trans, causing a decrease in the lesbian population. What?
Unbelievable.
But he goes on. Here's Katie's article exploring whether the disappearance of lesbian culture is due to the encouragement which masculine girls receive from the society, therapists, healthcare workers, etc. to identify as trans, not as lesbian women. What the fuck? Right, and then he goes on, clearly the massive increase in Americans self-identifying as LGBT, an increase due overwhelmingly to more bi and trans self-identifiers. Again, he's saying self-identifier here, which is a big dog whistle for saying, yeah, I don't believe you, but it's whatever you say, buddy. That's kind of what that is. And again, bi is in quotes again. Why is bi in quotes? Like, okay, this motherfucker's gonna say shit like famed lesbian, but then put bi in quotes over and over. It's bizarre, right? It's super bizarre. But I want to remind everyone of an interaction that I had with Glenn Greenwald very recently. This was a little bit ago, I think 2 weeks ago or so. And Glenn Greenwald yelled at me on Twitter in front of his millions of followers, right? And when I pointed out that he went on Joe Rogan's show to attack transgender people, this was his response. This is 2 weeks ago, mind you. I've never attacked trans people in my life. That's an absolute and utter lie. I know I've got, how many followers? Let me see. 1.6 million followers, but some random person on Twitter is bullying me by insinuating I said something I'm documented saying.
Unbelievable.
Right, so this guy's a crybaby loser. And so what's interesting is that, as you can see here, in November, I had some email correspondence with Glenn Greenwald over the subject. I had previously respected Glenn Greenwald's work, and so when I saw him go on Joe Rogan's show to say that, you know, oh, I've got friends whose their kids are trans and they're afraid that their kids are being morphed by, like, fucking culture, like, whatever. This guy went on Joe Rogan's show to basically peddle conspiracy theories, right? So I emailed him. I said, yo, I'm a big fan of whatever. You want to have a conversation about these issues? Now, Glenn's one of his favorite things, right, is that, where is this? He just says, like, you know, we need to have this conversation, right? I only want to, these things should be open to debate, he says. Open to debate, he says. Right, but when actually challenged on these things, right, he said he would be willing to have a conversation, and then he stopped responding. Interesting. And then 2 weeks ago, I reminded him of this correspondence, and he didn't respond. Right, and then 2 weeks later, he's doing this dumb bullshit going off and off and off on Twitter again about how trans people are usurping lesbians and, like, bi people don't exist. And it's like, again, if this guy, right, as he says, self-identified, everything should be open to debate. These things should be open to debate, he says. Unless you disagree with me. He will only debate people that he agrees with. Because he's a fucking baby. He's a crybaby, loser, bitch boy, motherfucking idiot. That's his problem. Yes, he has done tremendous journalism. Yes, he has uncovered a very, very large amount of really important stories. But that is no excuse. That does not redeem you when you go on Twitter all day, every day, talking about how trans people are icky and bi people don't exist. I'm sorry. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either these things are open to debate, or you're a fucking crybaby snowflake who's afraid to talk to people who disagree with you. Those are the only options here, buddy. You gotta pick one. So, Glenn Greenwald's having a normal one.
Unbelievable.
God, what a fucking piece of shit.